My name is Brian Kant, and I'm the president of the UVic Alumni Association. Good evening, and welcome to the 2020 University of Victoria Distinguished Alumni Awards. I'm a proud three-time graduate of the University of Victoria, and I have the pleasure of being your MC this evening. We acknowledge with respect the Lekwungen peoples on whose traditional territory the university stands, and the Songhees, Esquimalt, and Wasanic peoples whose historical relationships with the land continue to this day. UVic is a place that has inspired so many students, staff, faculty, and alumni. And on behalf of UVic and the Alumni Association, I would like to thank the staff of the Student Union Building and the Catering Department for supporting this event, and the team of the Alumni Relations Department for their wonderful efforts around this event and Alumni Week. I would like to make note that this event is being recorded, and President Castles will know. Hi, Mom. I've done that at every convocation. We always know that at least one person will watch the webcast, and it's my mom. So it's my honor to introduce Christine Sam from the Songhees Nation, who will bring a special territorial welcome for this evening's event.
Hello, I'm Christine Sam from Songhees Lekwungen, born and raised in a family of singers. Every song I've learned is taught from me to my aunties, my mother, my grandmother. I'm very honored to be here today, and I humbly welcome you all, and I'm very grateful to be here tonight. And thank you for all the organizers who have worked very hard to make this day happen. And I'm thanking the creator for the song that he could share for myself and everybody else to hear today. That song was taught to me by my aunties, and they have learned that song from our elders as well. So we've used that song many times to enter other tribes to say that we're coming in peace. It's more of like a paddle welcome song. So thank you all, and I'm very happy to share a song and a few words with you guys, and I hope you guys have a great night. Haitsapka.
Hi, Christine. Thank you. We're pleased with this wonderful turnout to honor this year's award recipients. Thank you all for coming. There are members of UVic administration, the UVic Board of Governors, students, alumni, volunteer, and donors, as well as the Alumni Association Board of Directors, past Distinguished Alumni Award recipients, representatives from local governments, and members of the university community. And a special welcome to Chris Horbachewski. I got it right? Okay. Chris is our new Vice President, External Relations, whose first day at UVic was at our Alumni Week kickoff on February 1st. So, yeah. You probably don't even know the way to campus yet, but here you are. So thanks for coming. Please join me in welcoming President Jamie Castles to bring greetings from the university.
Thank you very much, Brian, and good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome. Thank you, Christine, for your welcome to the territory. It's always a great way for us to begin events like this, to remember the history, the customs, the culture, and the current relationships that this university has with the First Peoples of this territory, the territory upon which the university lies, and the great opportunities that we have mutually to build that relationship. Excuse me. I want to start by extending a very warm welcome to everyone here tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on a cold and somewhat rainy night for this very warm and special occasion. And a special welcome and congratulations to our 12 distinguished alumni recipients this evening. This celebration tonight is the highlight of our annual Alumni Week, and it's our opportunity to be inspired by your success. Alumni Week is just one of the ways in which we let you know how your university is thriving. UVic is internationally recognized for our tremendous programs of research and teaching, for the collegial culture, for our beautiful campus, and in particular for our extraordinary alumni and the positive impact that they have on the world. We continue at the University of Victoria to cultivate that environment that is both research intensive and student-centered, big enough to have global impact in terms of improving, meeting the challenges around the world and tackling them head on, and yet small enough to be on a human scale and to create that sense of collegiality and that sense of student-centeredness. We want to make sure that our students continue to be transformed by their time at UVic, that they're equipped for personal success, and also to have the type of positive impact on the world around them that the distinguished alumni that we're going to meet tonight have had. So this is an opportunity for the university both to congratulate and celebrate those distinguished alumni, but also to enlist them as mentors and as role models and as examples that we can put before the next generation of students, representing the kinds of values, goals, and aspirations that this university has. So I want to thank you for your willingness to be those role models and to provide those examples to us and to the community. So to everyone here this evening, heartfelt thank you, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much.
I was really worried everyone was going to just step up here all night, so there are stairs on the side, just so everyone knows. Thank you, Jamie, for being here to help us celebrate Alumni Week. As a volunteer, I'm grateful that the Alumni Association has such a positive and productive relationship with the university. Thank you for this special partnership to all of the university leadership. The UVic Alumni Association Distinguished Alumni Awards, a bit of a mouthful, program began in 1993 when we honored scholar and educational leader Dr. Harry Hickman. Since then, more than 160 illustrious alumni have been selected to receive this prestigious award. Recipients have included artists, public servants, doctors, and industry leaders. While our distinguished alumni may have different backgrounds, they all seem to characterize the UVic motto, a multitude of the wise. We're here tonight to honor 12 members of the alumni family who represent leadership in the essence of Alumni Week, celebrating thinkers, changers, and difference makers. Sheila Rogers, UVic's Chancellor, is unfortunately not able to join us this evening as co-presenter. Please do not leave because she's not here. But with that, Sheila is a prolific tweeter, and I have a tweet ready that I want to send to her, but I'm going to take a picture of all of you so you can all wave to her, okay? So just bear with me, all right? And it's very bright, so you can't see yourself, so don't worry. Okay. All right. Thank you for humoring me. I ran that past my husband in the car, and he was like, go for it. Now I kind of feel like I've been set up to fail here. Anyways, it's fine, it's fine. So with her regrets, she sends her sincere congratulations to each of the award recipients. Sheila has often said that she wishes every day was Convocation Day. Convocation is a day of authenticity, of honoring, and of optimism. This evening continues that same sense of hope, community, and celebration. Since they crossed the stage at their own graduation ceremony, our award recipients have made a difference to our community, our province, our country, and to the world. Distinguished Alumni Award recipients, you went out into the world with all kinds of dreams, and you have fulfilled that sense of promise that we all feel at every convocation. And now for the award presentations. Sybil Virch is an exemplary local and national leader in the financial and wealth management field. As an author and talk show host, she is a public figure in the financial world, working to give women greater opportunities to achieve their financial goals and leadership objectives. Please welcome Sybil Virch, who is joined by the Dean of the Gustafson School of Business, Dr. Saul Klein.
Oh, here, there's a, we don't know what we're doing.
That's right. Someone's got to be first.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, this is fun. I have the UVic business program to thank for why I am here today and for living a life filled with joy. Now, that's a pretty powerful statement, and hopefully the rest of these words will make sense of it all. It was truly the mandatory co-op program that led me to a successful career in finance. Like most young kids, I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. I knew I liked math, I liked problem solving, I liked working with people, I liked budgeting. I know what kid likes that. I wanted to run my own business, and I wanted unlimited upside potential. But what business was that? I still needed to figure that part out. Thinking of my future career path, I knew it was important to do something I loved because I was going to spend most of my life doing it. I truly believe the secret to a great life is to find joy. That means figuring out what it is you enjoy doing, what it is you're good at, what your natural talents are, and we all have them. Sometimes they're buried a little, but we all have them. And spend your time there. Along those lines, I challenge you to ask yourself these 3 questions. Are you currently using your talents to benefit others? Do you surround yourself with the people that you love? And are you supporting the causes that are important to you and giving back? Finding joy has led me from one role to another over the years, always fulfilling, always rewarding work. Okay, so maybe there were a few challenges along the way, but there's joy in overcoming the challenges as well. So let me share just a quick few highlights over the years. That first co-op position that really changed my life was at a brokerage firm. And I knew within the first 3 days that that was the career path for me. Because remember, 3 days earlier, I hadn't a clue. It offered me the opportunity to put my natural skills to use and pursue a rewarding career. I was using my math and problem-solving skills to help others achieve their life goals. Pretty rewarding. I worked with wonderful people, ran my own practice, and had unlimited earning potential. There was only one little problem. After working in a support role for a number of years and ready to make the leap to become a financial advisor, I was told no. I was told I was going to fail because I was a woman. I was determined to succeed and prove them wrong, and I did. And over the next few years, I became one of the top advisors for the firm, and then decided to put my name in the hat for management, where I could help shape the firm. Their success going forward. I had similar challenges in getting a management position. It was difficult to get them to realize me for my skill set, not my gender. And I realized at that time the finance industry wasn't very welcoming to women. It wasn't until I switched firms and joined Raymond James in 2011 that I realized it actually wasn't the entire industry. There was a firm that not only welcomed women, but supported and encouraged women to enter the profession. I went from a firm that said no to a firm that said yes, and they continued to promote me over the years into positions where my skill set would add the most value. Joy. Although dealing with challenges and obstacles is often a frustrating experience, that's where we learn and we grow the most. Overcoming those challenges and obstacles is where we really do find joy. A few years after joining Raymond James, I had an idea that would increase financial literacy and build the brand of the firm with the investing public. I wanted to produce and host a television show, because that's easy, right? I had no idea what I was doing. Anyways, it worked. I leveraged my contacts, which is something a lot of the business students learn here, is the power of networking, to research what was involved, and season 1 was launched in 2015. We're now getting ready to film season 5 at the end of April to air this fall. After 20 years of being in the finance industry and seeing the number of women in my field remaining at minority levels, I decided it was time to do something about it. I was inspired to write a book called The Female Edge to encourage women to seize the many opportunities that are currently available. This really is our time. Everyone's talking about it. Organizations around the world are searching for more women to take on leadership roles and having a hard time finding them. So why aren't we moving the needle? Well, in my book, I hope to inspire some women to get out of their own way, put their hand up, and seize those opportunities that are right in front of them. Wanting to have an even bigger impact, several years ago, my husband and I made a commitment to direct 5 to 10% of our net income into a charitable fund, our own foundation account, that supports the causes we believe in. And my big focus is on financial literacy and female empowerment. And one specific example is each year our foundation awards the Sybil Virch Women in Business Award it's a $2,500 award granted each year to a 4th-year female student at the Peter B. Gustafson School of Business. So, back full circle, to answer those 3 questions I asked you earlier. Yes, I feel like I am using my talents to benefit others. Yes, I surround myself with friends and family, some of them here tonight, that bring me joy. And yes, I support causes that are important to me and will continue to do so, and I hope you will consider the same. Thank you to the university for starting me on this journey, and thank you to my family for providing me with a foundation of love and support. I'm honored to receive this award and hope each of you find your own joy. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sybil. Now, for me, it's an honor to introduce our next recipient, Jason DeWintz. He is the brother of one of my best friends, so I was very excited to see this on the list. I know you're more accomplished than just that one thing, but it's a big deal to me. So. Maybe she would argue otherwise, I don't know. Jason's a man of letters and of many talents, including being a leader in book design and production. His company has received more than a dozen national awards in recognition of this expertise, and he is also a prolific author. It's my privilege to welcome Jason to the stage with University Librarian Jonathan Bankston.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. I spend most of my time printing in a workshop by myself. So I'm wondering who I have to thank for getting chosen to come up after someone who's very comfortable speaking in front of crowds, which I am not. The questions they posed to us in terms of what to talk about when we got up here tonight, one of them was about a UVic experience that stuck with us. And luckily, I didn't have to make anything up, because something immediately came to mind. When I started at UVic, I was a floundering first-year creative writing student, and my only goal was to become a poet, which is not much of a goal at all. What I found here was, these days we call them cohorts. It was a small group of us who were ridiculously passionate about becoming poets, and we found in our instructors an environment which actually encouraged us to pursue this. In particular, it was Lorna Crozier, Patrick Lane, and Dirk Wynand who gave my friends and I a direction. And for me, that was three people in particular. It was Suzanne Buffum, Judy McGinnis, and myself. Patrick used to give this talk in his first-year creative writing classes, which most would consider discouraging, but he would basically tell you that from the group of 20 or 25 students in the room, by fourth year, there'd be about 6 of us. And by 6 months after graduation, 3 of us would still be writing. And most people thought this was a horrible thing to say to the students. But Suzanne, Judy, and I took that as the challenge. And we were determined to be those 3 students. And I'm sure many of the other people in the group thought the same thing. Because we were silly and we wanted it so bad. And what we ended up finding was an environment where we could all sit around and pursue those goals with instructors that encouraged it and fed us. We did a lot of silly things like going to visit Dirk on a Sunday afternoon when he wasn't expecting us at his house. And he actually opened the door. It took me a few years to get through those first couple of years of creative writing, and I eventually quit my service industry jobs, got a student loan, and came back and switched into honors English. And I just wanted to mention Luke Carson, who was at that time teaching the third-year honors theory classes. And that changed direction completely for me. I found something in theory that really appealed to me, which eventually led to doing my master's degree at the University of Alberta, which led to a research position cataloging and archiving special collections, which led to what I've been doing for the last 20 years, which is printing. I had no idea when I started those classes with Lorna and Dirk and Patrick that I was eventually going to make fine press books. But it likely wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for those first couple of years at UVic. And I've loved every single second that I spend by myself in my print shop. Thank you.
I'd say you're pretty accomplished. So, our next recipient is a leader in the social services sector. Wendy Sue Andrew draws from her coaching and teaching background to lead Lifetime Networks. She uses her skills and creativity to support and connect people with developmental disabilities and their families in the community. Congratulations to Wendy Sue Andrew, accompanied by the Dean of Education, Dr. Ralph Sinclair.
All right, undo the note. So I just have to say, when I got the invitation, it said business attire. And I usually wear my cowboy boots at work. And I thought, well, it's probably not appropriate. So I decided to wear heels, and it's killing me. That's right. So award recipients, as Jason mentioned, are given a choice of 3 questions to respond to when receiving their awards. I chose to answer a question about the impact of the UVic campus on my life. We have a long, long history together. I grew up a kilometer away from UVic. As a child, I attended community theater in the old army huts with my parents. We always brought guests to UVic campus to see the gardens. All my school track meets were here from elementary school all the way through high school. So were my children's track meets. I shot baskets at the old gym courts, although not very well. Once a student here, I celebrated many, many basketball victories watching the dream team of Pasquale and the Kazanowskis and the Shields and the other Vikes. The San Diego Chicken kissed me at one victory party, and that was a definite highlight of the UVic campus for me. His beak was wet, actually. It was. The campus was a comfortable place for me, and it still is. I know it very well. As a child, the campus, the students, the energy were exciting and inspiring. I still feel that. In 1980, as a UVic student, I began running the trails. I've been running these trails for 40 years. Much of my agency, Lifetime Networks, was built while running the CHIPs. Gave a lot of time for thought and reflection. The campus and its trails are, for me, a place to reflect, a place to plan, and a place to dream. My family now lives a block from the university. At least once every week, my husband says, "Isn't it great to live near UVic?" We've had this conversation every week for 30 years, and I would say, yes, it is. It is. The campus gives me space to build dreams. The campus and its trails inspire me and help shape Lifetime Networks. Moreover, I'm very proud to say that both our girls also are graduates of UVic. Thank you for the honor of naming me a University of Victoria Distinguished Alumni. I look forward to the next decade with UVic.
Has anyone ever tried to wrestle kids, maybe a 3.5-year-old daughter's favorite book away from her? Because you said you wanted to take it to an event that you were going to, right before you left her with a babysitter and close to bedtime. So this is a well-loved book by our daughter, Aubrey. It's one of my favorites, too, and I was just really, really honored today to be able to say these few words. Robert Lucky Budd is a radio host and one of Canada's leading oral historians. He truly believes that life stories are worth preserving, and I personally agree. He's given talks on oral history across the country and published 12 books, many of them bestsellers. Dr. Chris Godo-Jones, Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, is accompanying Lucky to the stage. I like it too.
Nice. Oh, good. No. I know. I'm just putting this down. I know. Just putting it down.
Fine.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. I have been taught, and it's been reiterated to me a million times, that your life story is the most important story that you have to share with the world. And I'm going to ask you to all bear with me for the next, I've got 4 minutes to take you on a little journey here. My story is a success story, but I feel like I'm a very unlikely person in many ways to be standing up here. When I was a kid, I had a really, really difficult time learning how to read. I was in grade 5 before I was reading on my own, and I've now had 12 books published, and I love going into elementary schools and telling kids that. From a very young age, though, I was always obsessed with recording, especially things off the radio, and music. And to me, listening to music and recording music was all about songwriting, which is ultimately storytelling, and it's been the passion of my life has always been storytelling. When it was time for me to go to university, the only place in the world I wanted to go was UVic. And I was in Toronto, and I was put on a wait list. And I would call the university every day in 1995 from July through August, until finally on August 29th, 1995, they let me into the university. And my student number is 9508686, and I'm convinced that I was the 8,000th, 686 person let into UVic in 1995. I was in a touring rock band while I was doing my undergrad, and that was a very, very big part of my passion. But I was also taking incredible courses here at the university, like Greek mythology with Dr. Laurel Bowman, which led me to ancient Greek history, and I got to take Eastern philosophy. And I was so lucky that I had the opportunity to study under Dr. Jan Zwicky and take Eastern philosophy, and I got to take environmental philosophy and a course on Plato. And I remember going to her right before I handed in my last paper on Plato and the symposium, and just telling her how excited I was to take the course. And when I got that paper back, it said, "Good luck being a musician, B." I got to take courses on the history of rock and roll. I got to take courses on the blues. And one of the coolest courses I got to take was a course on Jimi Hendrix, where Jimi Hendrix's dad, Al, came up from Seattle and gave us a guest lecture. I was in heaven. It was so awesome. And when I finally wanted to fulfill my vision of the books that I wanted to write on oral history, I came to the University of Victoria to do my MA. My passion was always to bring storytelling back into a way that we connect with history. I always feel like a good story has facts and values embedded in the narrative, and the heart never forgets a good story. But it was a very big hill for me to climb because I did no history in my undergrad. I needed to prove to myself and to the department that I belonged, and so I took some upper-level history classes, and there were some incredible professors that really believed in me and pushed me and mentored me and molded me so that I could fulfill my vision of the work that I wanted to do, and I'm very grateful for all of them. Dr. Georgia Satara, Peter Baskerville, John Lutz, my thesis supervisor, Dr. Eric Sager, who's here today. There were so many of them, Dr. Wickwire. I'm very thankful for all of it. My degree brought together everything that I needed to do to be able to hone my craft and bend it to what my vision was. Much of a person's success comes down to the solid foundation upon which it is built, and I owe much to those people at UVic who believed in me. And it all came together for me when I was sitting in my first meeting with Douglas and McIntyre, having a concept for what my book was going to be, and it included an audio component. And I sat around that table while everyone there was like, "Lucky, books with audio, books on tape, they don't work." But I had practiced for so long in my upper-level history classes, sitting around that table and arguing my point and not taking it personally, that in that meeting, I was able, over the course of 2 hours, to change everybody's mind. And by the end of it, they were all, "Yes, that's what's going to make this book amazing. It's the audio." And it's like, "We Are the Champions" was playing. And I walked out of there with my hands up. And that is what my university degree was able to give to me. And I'm so thankful for all the people here who really helped me with that. So thank you very much.
My student number was 9900250. Yeah. It's different, though. They changed them all. When I came back to do my MBA, they changed them, and I had to get a whole new number, and I don't know what it is, and I don't really care. I know I may owe some library fines on that old 9900250. Nope. It's being recorded. You can look it up later, Jonathan. It's a great honor for me to introduce our next recipient, the first person of Métis heritage appointed to the Supreme Court of British Columbia. Among her many high-profile positions, the Honourable Madam Justice Jennifer Power served as Regional Crown Counsel for Vancouver Island, the first woman in BC, and the first Métis woman in this role. Sincere congratulations to one of Canada's brightest legal minds. Please welcome the Honourable Madam Justice Jennifer Power, accompanied by the Acting Dean of Social Sciences, Dr. Ann Stahl.
She's been carrying my handbag, and she's carrying my award.
It's an honor.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, and it is a privilege for me to be among such a distinguished group of alumni receiving this award tonight. Since I've been introduced as a person of Métis heritage, I feel that I should let you know that recently Canada Post introduced a new stamp with Louis Riel and his council. And my great-great-grandfather is in that stamp. So I feel that I should raise all of the work that was done on behalf of the Métis people 150 years ago. So when I learned that I was nominated for this award, I cast my mind back to those days when I was an undergraduate here. And my memory was March of 1981, when I was in the passway of the Cornett building. And a student I didn't know said to me in a really worried way, "President Carter has been shot." I asked him a couple of questions. He didn't seem to know very much. And those were the days when we didn't have personal electronic devices where we could immediately tell us what was going on in the world. So I made my way over to University Center, and I found out that President Reagan had been shot. Now, at first, that seems like a fairly random memory until I reflected on it. And I realized that it's at moments like that, moments of global uncertainty, that we come together as a university community. And I've realized as well that at times of global uncertainty and change, universities and the academics that lead them are on the front lines with judges in defense of the rule of law and our democracies. And we have seen examples of that in the past few years. It's a real honor for me to receive this award. I feel like my degree in political science prepared me well for the law school, and I'm so grateful for the professors that I had along the way. Their voices still resonate with me. Professor Walter Young, Professor Warren Magnuson in political science, Professor Bob Howell, Professor Jerry Ferguson, and I use his jury instructions when I instruct juries today. And our own president, Professor Jamie Castles from the law school. He taught me contracts, and they don't give me very many contract cases. That's on me, not on you. I'd also like to thank my family, my husband, Bill, my children, Michaela and Marcus, and my son-in-law, Cyrus. Without your support, I would not have been able to pursue this career. And without your love, none of this would mean anything. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to take the opportunity now that we're halfway through to note two things. None of the recipients have made comment about how large the font is on my script, so I appreciate that, all of you. It's embarrassingly big. Just worried I wouldn't be able to read. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank our event sponsor, TD Insurance Meloche Monex. I think the gentlemen are here. Yeah, I thought that. You guys look like you're from TD. So warm welcome to the company's representative, Daryl Loringer and Max Stiles, who are here with us tonight. I bank at TD, so thank you. TD Insurance Meloche Monex is an official and valued affinity partner of the UVic Alumni Association. Moving back to the presentations, Mohammed and Prabha Ibrahim are grateful for their time in UVic's chemistry program. They turn their passion for innovation in medicinal chemistry to developing treatments for many serious diseases. Their efforts make an impact nationally and internationally. The Ibrahims are joined on stage this evening by Peter Look, Dean of Science.
Hi, everyone. Everyone brings their note and whatnot, but I just speak my mind. As everybody mentioned, there are three questions that you have to choose one. And one of them is the UV campus and the people. I wanted to choose both of them. Because, we came from India originally, and we came, my husband and I, with two kids, 7 and 5, to came here to do PhD. This is one of my passion to do invention and innovation in chemistry. That's where I was teaching in undergrad back home in India. So the dream came true for us to come here with the two kids. And the UVic faculty and the people here really welcomed us with open heart and open hands and gave us all the possible support that anybody could think of to make us to where we are now. And I want to say first thanks to Sandy Kirk, who met us and gave the encouragement and told us that you are getting admitted into university after he met us back in India. And I was working under the guidance of Fred Fisher and other faculties like Reg Mitchell, Peter Wan, Tom Files. They all were very supportive and made us to be where we are right now. And I appreciate each and every person that worked with us to make us where we are right now. And I also take this opportunity to make sure that a lot of chemists can do a lot of different things to invent, bring compounds to the community and help patients. That is my passion, and I am able to do it because of what I had learned from University of Victoria. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for all the award we have been given. It was really a big honor to receive it. And I wanted to answer two questions in there, which incident make you to feel that is change your life? And I would say during my research in third year, and I was struggling to get one of the compounds. I couldn't make any way, and whatever the procedure Sandy was giving me, it wasn't working. And before he was leaving for sabbatical in Montreal, I suggested him that I can make this way. I make an intermediate and then go from that route. He said, no, it won't work. Don't try. Don't waste your time. You go and try some other method and go and learn something. And then he went to sabbatical. Then I started to do my own way. Then when he come back, I was able to make the compound. I told him, and he said, oh, you made it. You devil, you made it. Now you are ready to write your thesis. That's how I got. Then I know you can defy your advisor, but the same you can be creative and reach it. And another thing is, such a powerful man, he is a powerful faculty knowledge. But one night when I was writing thesis, my wife and I were writing thesis in my home, and 8 o'clock, somebody was knocking at the door. Open the door, Muhammad, open the door. It was dark. I just opened. There was a man standing over the head, a big table. That was Sandy. What are you doing here? I know you don't have a table in your home when I came for dinner the other day. So this is the table for you to write your thesis. That made me, there is no ego in your life. This is how you should live. Even such a powerful faculty come to your home and let you lend his table to give you to write it is amazing. That's how I learned what it takes to lead the life. How humble you have to be. It's like standing in front of the Rockies. Something like that. You were small. The world is big and the knowledge is big. Same way Peter Wan did the same thing. 1 week later, he brought the computer to my home, and he did the same thing. He said, I have ordered for the spectrophotometer and a computer. Computer came first, but you are writing thesis. Until I receive my spectrophotometer, you use the computer. I was stunned. People like this are the one who made everybody's life happier and they show the way how to live. That's where UVic is. That's how I learned my life. Thank you.
That was great. Saul, you never brought me a table. We'll talk. Leah Hollins has vast experience as a strong advocate for Canadian healthcare. She has been instrumental in improving healthcare policy, programs, and service delivery at both the local and national levels. It's a privilege to welcome Leah Hollins, joined by the Associate Dean of Human and Social Development, Ether Sangster Gormley. Sorry, it was written in.
Well, your writing is even bigger than mine, and I thought mine was huge. You'll be able to tell which question I chose by what I'm going to say. My initial attraction to UVic was innovation in programming. I lived in Vernon at the time, and the ability to take classes by distance showcased for me how to look beyond what is available to what is possible. This has remained with me throughout my career. When I was able to move to Victoria and join in campus life, it was a friendly, open environment. I quickly connected with a supportive study group to share learning challenges, and I began to understand the importance of connections. The nursing program was fantastic, and the classes outside of the core programming were inspiring. My career started before I graduated from UVic, but what I didn't realize as a student is that it would become the foundation of my lifelong career journey dedicated to health and care. And what a journey it has been. I have been privileged to work in public health, medical services, acute care, and long-term care. I've seen technology advance from paper files and in-person visits to electronic records and virtual visits. I participated in the creation of a national organ donation and transplantation network to match donors and recipients. The program has been an outstanding success. I was honored to be chair of the BC Addictions Foundation when it funded the chair of addictions and substance use at UVic through a $10 million grant, which enabled UVic to establish the Canadian Institute for Substance Use Research here on this campus. As many of you will know, it is a world-renowned program. All of this started through an innovative distance program. Thank you to the many supportive faculty in human and social development, and in particular to the members of the Faculty of Nursing for their mentorship, friendship, and support. And thank you for this very significant honor. I'm grateful to continue to be part of this forward-thinking, lively, dedicated learning campus. Thank you.
Next up is a respected local volunteer who had deep roots in business before attending UVic mid-career. Jerry Thompson ran a shipyard and machine shop. I don't know what a machine shop is, but it sounds interesting. Ran a shipyard and machine shop before turning to the investment field. He never hesitates to support his industry and nonprofit organizations any way he can. Dr. Joanne Clark, the Dean of Continuing Studies, will be joining Jerry on stage.
Well, good evening, folks, and thank you to the university and to the dean, Joanne Clark, as this was truly a surprise for me. There's been so much passion and fun in these speeches tonight, so I'll try and put as much fun into a balance sheet and an income statement as I can. This educational journey for me began 25 years ago with my association with Roden Wick Ramatilaki from the university. He was starting a program of business and marketing, and he wanted a cast of mature students, and it was my job to go out and recruit those students from industry. And after I thought I'd done a fair job of recruiting, he told me there were a couple of openings left and suggested that I should enroll. Now, I always wanted to walk across the stage before my children, so I said yes, I would do that. It was then that we met Richard Mimick, Brock Smith, Alango Langovan, and of course, Pat Webster. Richard was a fountain of information and a great source for programs for your computer, and he was our anchor for the next 3 years. Brock Smith, Brock was a tough taskmaster. We read volumes, we took copious notes, and we even had to write exams. And Alango, in his program of conflict management and resolution, gave us so many tools that I'm still using those tools today in the work that I do, and I just owe a lot to everything that he taught us at that time. Now, and Pat, I think Pat she kept us all accountable, and I think she really ran the show. I've got someone else's notes here, and they're bigger than the ones I wrote. But at any rate, from time to time, they would bring in some outside source to give us additional knowledge. And in this program, we needed to run computers. Now, remember, this was 25 years ago, and so the document read that they handed to us in the morning session, and this was on a Saturday we came in. On the morning session, we will teach you how to run a mouse. In the afternoon session, it said advanced. So I thought, well, I know how to run a mouse, so I'll come in the afternoon. So I came just after the lunch, and the instructor, and I'm not sure who he is and whether he's in this crowd tonight, he was at the door with these morning students, and we, the afternoon students, arrived, and he couldn't get the door unlocked. And he was trying this, trying that, and I said, let me do it. So I walked up with my opening device for my car, and I clicked at it, and he's looking at me, and I said, I don't understand this. It worked on my car. So he figured, this whole group is crazy. Well, those 3 years were a pretty exciting time for me, and made many friendships, and I think that type of education is contagious. And I'm proud to say that this spring, my daughter is going to receive a master's degree at Concordia University. And I'm also proud to say I did walk across the stage before her. Thank you.
I like the mention of Alango, but Alango was tough, and he didn't mention that part. But he was a tough guy. Yeah, he was great. Richard Van Camp is our next award recipient. Now, Sheila, and I'm not going to do my impression of Sheila out of sheer respect for the Chancellor and undying love for the CBC. Sheila will tell you that she can always rely on Richard for a bit of head-clearing energy, and that his stories both on and off the page capture that vitality. Just imagine she's saying this, right? The fictional world he has created is based on his hometown of Fort Smith in the Northwest Territories, where he grew up, a proud member of the Dene Nation. He's written 23 books at last count. That's probably correct still. I don't think we're adding 24. Okay. Novels, children's books, and graphic novels. We honor Richard not only for his literary talent, but also for his endless generosity in sharing his wisdom with UVic students. It's my honor to invite Richard Van Camp to the stage with the Acting Dean of Fine Arts, Dr. Alana Lindgren. Oh, you have to go over here. And I stay out of the way.
Oh, take it. Wait, do I take it? Do you take it? I take it.
You can do what you want. It's yours.
Okay. Wait a minute. I gotta move this. I'll put it back. I'll put it back. I'm a Virgo. I'll put it back. Good evening, everybody. I want to say a huge Mussy Cho. Can you all say Mussy Cho? Mussy Cho. That means thank you very much in my language, the Tlicho Dene language, and on behalf of my beautiful wife, Dr. Kiwi Martin, and our beautiful little boy, Ed Zazi, I say a huge Mussy Cho to you all and to the university for this huge honor. My time at the University of Victoria was a time of complete astonishment. To think that I had the privilege of learning about the craft of writing from Bill Valgertson, who to this day has written the ultimate Victoria novel, The Girl with the Botticelli Face. Is Bill Valgertson here today? No? I know he wanted tickets. Okay. Bill Valgertson changed my life forever. He was our chair at the time, and he not only gave us writing advice, he actually gave us life advice, which I continue to pass on to my students every time I have the opportunity to be a mentor. I had writing instructors like Marilyn Bowering, the late David Godfrey, and Jack Hodgins, whose passion for narrative was and continues to be a treasure for both readers and writers to this very day. We had Stephen Hume, but it was also my fellow students who inspired me to do my very best. We had Belaine Nickerson, Aslan Hunter, Teresa McWhirter, Heather McLeod, Rebecca Fredrickson, and Brad Glenn, to name a few. It was the late Patrick Lane's writing that called me to the University of Victoria, and I'd like to honor him tonight. His book, Unborn Things, continues to haunt me to this day. I did try and sneak into his poetry class, but I think both he and Lorna Crozier could sense that I was destined to work in other genres. I would really like to thank the city of Victoria herself. My Victoria will always be the Rebar, Pagliacci's, Munro's Books, Pick-a-Flick Video. I don't know if you remember, but Pick-a-Flick had this 5 for 5 for 5. It was 5 movies for 5 days for $5. It was huge back in the 90s. Lyle's Place, A&B Sound when there was an A&B Sound, and the University of Victoria Cinema. I was just saying to the acting dean, I think I spent just as much money there watching movies from all over the world as I did my own tuition and books. Also, CFUV, the university campus radio station, 101.9 FM, changed my life forever. I was broke. I had nothing to do but sit around Saturday nights and listen to CFUV, and I miss those nights so very much. I would also like to thank the first people of this territory. I was a guest here from Treaty 8, and UVic will always have a special place in my heart. I was just saying earlier this evening that I would not be the person, I would not be the husband, I would not be the father, the son, and the friend, and the mentor, or the writer that I am today had it not been for the University of Victoria. I sold my first novel, The Lesser Blessed, here in my third year at the University of Creative Writing in the Creative Writing Department, thanks to my agent, Carolyn Swayze, who is also a UVic grad. Now, my favorite memory of my time at UVic is a bit gossipy. What happened was I was actually staying right across the street at Family Housing. I was staying with my friend, Jackie Green. It was one of those deals where everything had fallen through at the last moment for Jackie, and the deal was if anybody asked Richard Richard, you're my nephew. I had sold The Lesser Blessed thanks to Carolyn Swayze, and you know how hard it is raining tonight, and you see how cold it is tonight. It was one of those days, and Douglas and McIntyre called me from the printer, and they said, Richard, we're holding your novel, The Lesser Blessed. You're not going to believe it. We've knocked it out of the park. Tim Atherton has done such a great job with the cover. It's our most beautiful book. We're actually going to courier you the first copy, the very first copy. I'm holding it. We're going to courier it for you. It should be there on Friday. Well, I had classes on Friday, and I did my classes. I didn't tell anybody what was waiting for me at the house. And when I ran across that lawn to family housing, I saw the dreaded courier note. I had missed receiving my novel. It was raining, I was cold, it was Friday, I was all alone, Jackie was out of town, she was visiting the community, her community of Kitimat, and I also knew Monday was a long weekend. It was a national holiday. And as a Virgo, it's very hard for me to wait for anything. And I remember calling the courier service over and over and over, and somebody finally picked up, and I explained that this was my first novel. I was now a published author. They had couriered it, and I was with Douglas and McIntyre, that this was the proudest day of my life, and I wanted to share it with somebody. And I really had nobody in those days. And I remember the lady on the other side, on the other line, said, "You're serious? This is your novel, like with Douglas and McIntyre?" I said, "I swear to God." And she said, "Okay, I'll talk to the driver. He's beat, he's soaked. I think he had a flat. We'll see if he can come back." And I begged and I pleaded, I begged and I pleaded. And you know what? He came back, and I remember he was tired, he was soaked, he was beat, and he said, "This is seriously your novel?" And I said, "It's seriously my novel." "You're seriously with Douglas and McIntyre?" "I'm seriously with Douglas and McIntyre." I remember he looked me in the eye. He said, "Congratulations, don't give up, and good luck, kid." And he was like Superman to me. He just vanished into that Victoria rain, and he took off back in his, I couldn't tell you if it was UPS. I couldn't tell you who it was with. I just remember sitting across the street in 1996 in family housing all by myself, taking my very first novel out of a manila envelope, and the pure throttling terror and joy and ecstasy of seeing your book for the first time. I'll never forget it, and I couldn't have done it without you, Vic. And I was just thinking to myself that where I'm from in the Northwest Territories in Treaty 8 country in Fort Smith, the elders have a saying. They say, "A true Northerner always leaves each person and each place better than they found them." And I think that's what we do here at the University of Victoria. We're all leaving each place and each person better than we found them. I'm so grateful to you all. Thank you for having me in your family. Masi Cho, thank you. Thank you.
He said he'd put it back and he didn't, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. We'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. That's okay. Never gonna think of a courier the same way again, though. That was in a really persistence pays off, right? Next up is a provincial star in the engineering field. After years of leading staff in BC Hydro's engineering business unit, Kirsten Peck has just been promoted to Senior Vice President, Safety. Having achieved this pivotal position, Kirsten will continue to provide inspirational leadership to her colleagues and to current future engineering students. Please welcome Kirsten, along with the Acting Dean of Engineering, Dr. Brian Wild.
This is a really special honor for me tonight, and really happy to have my family with me, and so many memories coming out. My student number was 885150, and I didn't even think that that was a retrievable memory. A and B sound, and yeah. So yeah, this is a very special place for me at UVic, and I spent 5 years here on the co-op program as well. For me, I came from a small town. I too came from Vernon. And as well, I was one of 4 females in the engineering program. There was 125 students that graduated in my year, and I was one of 4 that made it through. In Vernon, at that time, there were no honors programs or international baccalaureate, these academies, science academies that we have today. And I'd never met an engineer in my life. And so I was kind of forging something new in my family. And I remember my first day in calculus, and the prof asked for anybody that hadn't taken the equivalent of first-year calculus to put their hand up, and there was me and one of the other 4 women, and we were both from small towns. And so I realized at that point that I had an even bigger hurdle to jump over than I thought I had. And the reason I chose to come to UVic was because of the size. It was a smaller campus and compared to our bigger neighbors. It was mandatory co-op, and I didn't have financial support coming to university. And it felt comfortable to me to come here rather than a larger school. After those first few days when I was realizing that it was going to be a little bit harder than I thought it was, I was really thankful for the welcoming and the close nature of this campus that I think we see here today as well. Just even the circular nature of it and all the buildings facing inwards, it just feels like it's a comfortable place to be. And for me, it was a very special kind of intimate campus, and it really allowed me to thrive in quite a substantial challenge. For me, the mandatory co-op, and it was mentioned before, but that was the cream, the whipped cream on the cake. Our co-op program here, and it is even today fairly unique in engineering being mandatory, and everybody's on it. There are not a lot of schools that it is mandatory that way in engineering. And I support that still today in my former role. I just changed jobs on Monday, which was yesterday. So I was the vice president of engineering for 7 years at BC Hydro, and hire 25 co-ops per term if we can, and a number of them from UVic, and then we hired about 10 new engineers in training into BC Hydro every year, into my group, and a lot of them come from UVic. So I continue to work with UVic, and it's still a part of my community, and it's kind of neat to be recognized today. And that UVic set me off. It set up that foundation. It allowed me to thrive from this small town Vernon girl that didn't come in with the same education as everyone else, and allowed me to fly, gave me that time to grow into who I was capable of being, and sent me on my way. UVic is part of my family. I have a sister who is a graduate here of the Faculty of Child and Youth Care. My husband and I got married at the Interfaith Chapel here. My daughter just graduated from the Child and Youth Care faculty, and my son's in third year engineering here. So, it's well woven into my DNA, and I enjoy giving back, and have been helping out a little bit with the program, and gave a few lectures this year to some of the first year engineering students and to the Women in Engineering Society, Student Society, just earlier in the year. And one of the most rewarding things for me was that some of those students came to be co-op students at BC Hydro, and they sent me an email as soon as they got there, and said, "Hi, Kirsten, how are you doing? And I saw you speak." And they say hi to me in the elevator and just touch base. And I think it's really important. Some people have mentioned that giving back to your community, and I think it's important to all of us to continue on. And for me, giving back to UVic is part of it, and I think it makes it more meaningful. So anyways, I want to just say thank you, and thank you for the special honor today.
Day 2 on the job, and you're already over here. That's fantastic. It's a good sign for UVic for more co-ops, maybe. Kasari Govender has a passion for law and equality. She has been in positions to exercise this passion, most recently as Executive Director of West Coast LEAF, the Women's Legal Education and Action Fund. She was the founding president of Rise Women's Legal Center. 2019 was a great year for Kasari and her work. She received the Women Lawyers Forum Award for Excellence, and she was named BC's first independent human rights commissioner. She has devoted her life to promoting human rights, and so, as she says, this is a dream job. Accompanying Kasari Govender is our Dean of Law, Dr. Susan Bro. Apologies. Thank you.
Last but not least, I hope. What a wonderful evening. I'm so grateful to be here on this campus, but also among such amazing award recipients. I'm so inspired to hear all of your incredible stories, and it really has been an evening of stories. Justice Power, you mentioned the ways in which a university reflects global events, and it actually made me reflect on something I hadn't planned on talking about. I'll get to my actual notes in a minute, but my first week on this campus was September 2011. 2001. So it was 9/11 in my first week of law school, and I remember how it felt cataclysmic and how it felt so significant to be studying law at that time. And in fact, the faculty really emphasized to us what a moment it was to be thinking about rule of law and how transformative this moment could be in the world of human rights. So for me, starting a career in that, it was an incredible moment to be here and to be in this place where we could think deeply about what these issues mean. I've always wanted to do human rights work, which was in large part due to my family's deep roots in the social movements of our time. My mother spent her life and career working to combat violence against women and children, and my father was shaped very much by the forces of apartheid and growing up as an Indian person under that very racist regime. My family continues to live there. And growing up in this family of activists and thinkers, and I'm just giving you a couple of examples, those roots go back much deeper than my parents. But growing up in this family was really, for me, very formative in understanding how racism and sexism impact us all. And it was key in my decision to go into this field. But that's really was the motivation for my career. It wasn't law itself. So when I started law school, I saw getting a legal education really as a necessary evil to be able to get to where I wanted to go. As I moved through my 3 years here, through the co-op program, through the Law Center, which is a wonderful clinical program run through the law school, I moved through my time taking every seminar I could in feminist legal theory. I was blessed to be taught by many faculty members who helped me see the potential of law and lawyering as a medium for social change. And in fact, they helped me gain a love of the law for this purpose, which was no small feat given my pessimistic view of law starting out this career. They helped me understand how the forces of misogyny and colonialism and racism are built into the law, but also how, indeed, the master's tools can be used to dismantle the master's house. So thank you to the outstanding faculty members at UVic Law. Thank you to the university for welcoming me back as a board member many years later, although I had to resign from that role in order to take up this new post. And thank you for honoring me with this award. I am indeed very honored. Thank you.
So thank you all for putting up with me without Sheila tonight, and I couldn't see if you left anyway, so it's fine. So one more round of applause for this inspirational group. And to conclude, on behalf of the UVic Alumni Association, I'd like to thank the faculties, divisions, and the University Library for their valued contribution, collaboration, and support for this event and throughout Alumni Week. A big thank you to all the volunteers and staff who helped out tonight. Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsor for tonight's event, TD Insurance Milashmonex, and thanks to each of you for being a part of Alumni Week 2020. We're pleased to host a reception in the area you passed through as you entered this area. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.